Hello, welcome back to Heroes Explain, the show where we explain heroes we made over the years. Today, if you couldn't tell, it's me, Jommers, and yeah, Bubs and Mr. Wolf won't be joining me today because separate videos, which Bubs clarified a lot of. But today, I'm going to be talking about a fire kingdom that I have created, which I have talked about a little bit. So let's just dive into it, I guess. I'm really nervous about this, first time doing the intro. But so the Fire Kingdom was actually a split off branch from another kingdom, which Mr. Wolf, which is the next video, hopefully, he'll go in more depth of what's going on in this. But yeah, so the Fire Kingdom was given supernatural powers to control, manipulate, create pyrokinetics. I believe that's what it's called. But so they were kicked out of the other kingdom because green life stuff and fire doesn't really mix well. So the Fire Kingdom began their own civilization pretty much, starting off as a small town. The leader of it, I have no clue what his name is gonna be. I'll just go Farshamir, something like that. Just because Bubs has random names, so might as well add one. So Farshamir and his wife were anointed the king and queen because they were the first ones to get kicked out and establish this safe haven for fire people. So Fishmire, or whatever I call them, so they just began peacefully in the life, just continuing building up this kingdom of theirs. They've created this scepter just in case they needed to go to war that could unleash 1,000 flames. Like, it's powerful like the sun. So they decided just in case they would ever go to war, they would keep it and give it to the king so they could use it to whatever see fits. And they thought, because kings would use it for the noble thing to do, right? So the queen was pregnant, came out with a child. The child's name was Furno, I'm guessing. I'm just making it up. So Furno adopted to fire, like, in hatred, and like all the fire that was inside of him was just pure hatred towards the other kingdom that kicked them out, aka the Woodland Elf Kingdom. But so what happened is when his father died, he took over immediately, just like that. Most like how kingdoms work. When the king dies, it goes to the prince or princess, whatever. But so the prince, which is now the king, Pyro or Inferno, whatever I call them, we'll just stick with Inferno. Inferno just straight up hatred ruled his army and kingdom, turning every civilian that was once a peaceful nature into pure hatred and onslaught. So this would go on for wars and years. This battle of between the fire and death and anger that goes through them versus the life and green and vegetation and trees. So yeah, I don't know what else to add on that. So later on down the road you'll hear a reappearing, but so the Fire Kingdom was like I mentioned before, but he's like a right hand man to the Shadow King, Shadow Knight. They just rule because they just have a burning passion to hate and destroy anything. So they use this time to attack the branched off kingdom, the Woodland Elf Kingdom, but they couldn't even beat him, even in the reign of darkness and stuff like that. But yeah, since I'm pretty much done with that part for now, because I need to wait for Mr. Wolf to create a video so I could add on after and pick up where he left off. I'm gonna go in depth about another kingdom, or village town as it's called, because this is a really important character down through the timeline, so might as well get it done with. So in this small village town, technically, there was this man, farmer man, nice man, likes to live a quiet life. Him and his wife and his child, like continuously, just a peaceful farm life. The name Phantom sure struck fear into people, but they were just a nice, peaceful place. When one day, a raid, like pirates, because they live near the water, and it's kind of around that time because it is medieval. So pirates came along and just ransacked that entire village, just demolishing it, leaving nothing, killing like his wife right in front of him and his son. So it was pretty like terrifying, traumatizing to the father and the son. The father just became feeling so weak, so desperate to get anything done, but he feels like completely incompetent. So one day a mistish rolls in. I'm just guessing because I don't know how this other person rolls, but so this foggy day comes. The father's out fishing, trying to provide food for his son. When a boat ship like a ship comes up to a dock, and he moves, so it doesn't crush him while he's fishing there. So off from the cabin, you could see this smoky figure coming down, and it's like the crew's desolate, you don't see much. So the captain who comes, it looks like he has bandages wrapped all over his face, completely like completely torn up, but just bandaged everywhere. The bandage might be falling, but it's just, there's this feeling about him that's just wrong. So the being, or soon to be known as Snakebeard, he says, I know how to grant you unlimited power, because I can sense that, you're just in a bad place and you feel pathetic. But I will give you unmeasurable powers, but you'll owe me a favor. So this man's so desperate to be a hero and to defend his village so it won't ever come in ruins again. He takes the deal. So the first day he feels this strength inside of him. So he likes it immediately. There's this agility that comes alongside of it. Like, it went from him being a scrawny farmer just to him bulked up and just good. He felt like invincible. So the next day when he woke up, he looked and he saw this furry, clawed hand right beside him. He panics. He feels like he's just gonna die. This is how it ends. The fur red, so he's like, oh crap, it's just a giant bear, red bear or something, just curled up beside him. He goes to move his other arm, and right when that comes down, boom, another red claw. He goes to grab his sword, and the claw hand grabs the sword, and he's just looking, and he gets up, and he is the monster he feared. It's just this red, raggedy fur claws. It's just a monster from a horror book or something. Just terrifying. His eyes black as a black hole, no color whatsoever. And then near his face is just white. So there's this white circle around his face, and then black eyes, and then red everywhere else. So he finds out that the powers he so desperately craved has become a terrible curse. But then it just comes, he smells every fear that he could ever, just every fear in that town. And then just because he can't control himself quite yet, because he's just a monster, just goes on a rampage, killing everything. Everyone just after this after that horrible day of the pirates attacking, he himself, the man who tried so desperately to stop it, is now the thing that is tearing it apart, which is kind of sad. But So it comes down to he killed everyone in that town besides his own son. He went to attack his son, and that's when he stopped because his son's crying. Like, that's his son's broken from seeing his dad, broken from first losing his mother, and then just now seeing. Oh, dude, it's just. But to continue, so the father snaps back into it. He's still a monster form, but he has gained his morality back. He knows there's nothing he can do to gain his son's trust back. He just leaves. That's it. Like, no second chances. His son doesn't want to see him anymore. But then he goes to sea, and that's when he becomes a pirate. And since the people began asking, what is he? What's his name? What is he doing? He just began. People gave him the myth of the Red Devil because his fur is red and he's basically a monster. But yeah, now he protects that place, and that's kind of a kingdom. But I don't know what else to add through. Uh, yeah, there's stories that nobody should ever trust that snaked man. That raggedy man on the day of darkness. Never trust a ragged man. But yeah, during this timeline that we're in, I'm stepping out for a second, stepping out of character from this storytelling moment. But during this timeline, it's all darkness. There's no light whatsoever. It's just complete and utter darkness. Like, sure, there's days and all these things. It's just the men and just the entire atmosphere. There's no light during this time. It's not really hopeful, or yeah, it's pretty dark, going down and down into the depths of darkness. But yeah, there's a lot of scary, not scary, but a lot of stuff that happens. It's not very joyful, but I'll step back into that story. But so it turns out from that attack there was another kid who survived. That kid tormented and just. Actually, he wasn't tormented. He was just laughing. He was broken in the mind. That's how you would describe this character. Just broken, shaggy. He actually wanted to embrace death. He was going towards the monster, and unlike everybody else, running. So this kid finds out later down on life that he has a gift, unlike most people, and it is the gift of duplication. He can clone himself. Each time he does it, he clones himself twice. So he would go just to plunder people, get pirates, catch them off guard, see a little kid running, they would go towards it, and then an army of the same kid charging back. So this kid destroyed in the mine, but he will come in later and all this stuff. I don't know what else to talk about. That actually might be the end of this, unfortunately. It's been an amazing journey with you guys, and probably this is my time to say farewell, my freaky followers.